Belleville and the surrounding areas. Is there a future here? Let's look into it. Hi, my name is Jeremy Tremblay. I'm a local realtor that works here in the Belleville and surrounding areas. If you have any questions after this video, down below in the description, you'll find my email, my phone number. I'd love to hear from you. Give me a call, give me a text. Also, if you're wondering about this area and you're new to the Belleville area, check out my other videos. A lot of videos talking about the different pockets around here. And if you get any value, I'd love if you could hit that little thumbs up. Let's do it. So as I mentioned, a lot of people that are looking to relocate to this area have a question about is there a good future for Belleville? If they're going to be investing their money into a home or into a business or investing into properties, they want to see a future in terms of growth. You often hear about small communities that are usually up north where their job numbers are lower and it's not a great place to invest. Well, let's look at Belleville. I'm going to touch on it at the end of this video, some of the boots on the ground information, but we're going to kind of start with the high level first. We'll start by looking at the national level. So Canada as a whole right now sits around 40 million people. And so if you're coming from out of the country wondering about Canada, well, we have been growing quite rapidly over the last number of years. Right now around 40 million. Growth estimates have it over the course of the next 50 years that we're going to land somewhere in that 45 to 80 million mark. Now, of course, that's a huge range. So the median, middle of the road is around 60 million people. That's quite a bit of growth. And now I will say, I think they're overestimating maybe a little bit based on these last few years where immigration was quite high in Canada and it has dropped off quite heavily now that we're in 2025. That being said, if you look back a few decades in Canada, you will see consistent growth. So if we continue with that, Canada will be growing. So next you have Belleville. When looking at the population growth for Belleville, you're going to see Hastings and Prince Edward County, which incorporates Quinte West, Belleville, some areas up north and down to the county. And they've done some studies over the last number of years. Most recently, the studies have been looking at the potential growth rates with respect to jobs and such. And they're estimating that this area, over the course of the next 30 years, could add upwards of 50,000 people into this area. And so based on those, even if we make it a little bit more conservative, they're definitely looking at growth in this area. And some of the reasons and the things that can support that, if recently you've looked at the news, you see the U-Haul articles that come out. Those articles point to the frequency of movers out of an area and then bookings for trucks going into an area. And specifically, Belleville, Trenton has been extremely high on the list for people moving into those areas. So based on that metric alone, they're seeing, and this is a Canada-wide metric, they're seeing these areas continue to grow. Now, one of the main reasons, in my opinion, why we're going to see so much growth in this area specifically is our geography. I've mentioned in other videos, if you've watched any others before, one of the reasons why I'm so bullish on this area and the growth is because of where we're located with respect to the other major urban centers in Canada. If you look at the population we discussed of that 40 million, about 1/3 of Canada's population is located along Highway 401 corridor. So you've got all the way up from Quebec down to Windsor, and the population is spread out along that Highway 401. That highway, extremely busy. I mentioned before that it is actually the busiest highway in all of North America in terms of traffic volumes. And they are looking and they've scheduled to start widening that highway. Right now it's 2 lanes for quite a bit and then it switches to 3 down near Cobourg, but they're looking to widen that to 3 lanes all the way through because they are anticipating the growth that's going to come with that. One of the reasons why the geography matters so much is because of business. And so when you have the Greater Toronto area that's down south and then you go up towards Ottawa, Montreal, there's a lot of goods being shipped back and forth here. Belleville, of course, lands right down in the middle of this. And so what we're seeing is businesses that are coming here to set up so they can have an easy distribution route for along Highway 401. Recently, we had the Amazon distribution center that opened up just this past year. It's a massive center, and there are talks that they will be opening potentially more in this area. We recently had another large manufacturing facility for pet foods. And there are a lot of industrial manufacturing organizations here in this area. It's very strong in that respect, and it supports our economy quite a bit. And there's no reason to say that that's going to be slowing down, because when it looks, things like the cost, Toronto, bigger cities, it costs more to get the land, whereas here we've got quite a bit of land. So they're working on enlarging that industrial area. And so that creates a good base for an area like Belleville to continue to grow at a steady rate and in a healthy way. So as I mentioned, boots on the ground, there's a few obvious examples as to why I think the market will continue to move forward here and growth will continue to happen in the Belleville and surrounding areas, specifically with respect to developments. Now, if you watch one of my recent videos, I talked about how the construction industry is extremely slow right now. And that main reason is it's just too expensive to build homes. And so they're not building as many. But that doesn't mean that the planning has stopped. And so when I look at a place like Belleville, we've got a golf course called Black Bear Ridge. It's a really great course, really highly rated throughout Canada, but they have so much more that they're planning for that area. Specifically, they want to make it into a year-round resort. And with that, they want to expand and build upwards of 3,000 residential units. So that's just going to be a big master plan community in Belleville that will bring about many jobs. They estimate through the construction phase of that, roughly 12,000 jobs. And then once it's fully operational, the whole resort portion will employ over 500 people. It's a huge boost to a community the size of Belleville. And that's a big plan that they're pushing forward. And they've been talking about this for a while, and they're actually planning this phase. And then you move down to Prince Edward County. And it's an area that has just completely exploded in terms of the tourism side of things over the last 5 years. It's one of the main destinations in Canada, really, that people talk about, Prince Edward County. But with that, a lot of people are moving there. People from Toronto, bigger urban centers are wanting to settle down in a quieter area. Prince Edward County is that place, and they are planning for it. There are subdivisions there, pockets, and they're looking to build over 1,500 more homes in one subdivision alone. They're just trying to continue to expand the infrastructure there. Also, the government had put forward $18 million towards expanding the water systems in place for the county, once again, for future expansion. And then some other examples of small pockets that even people locally aren't necessarily aware of what's happening. So you see over towards Trenton that there are a few new build subdivisions where they've cleared the land, they put the roads in, infrastructure's in place. Now it's just a matter of time and waiting for the right time for that building to begin. But aside from those that are already complete and ready to go, there are other pockets where they are clearing land in preparation for that next phase of projects. Just in my neighborhood, we're able to see some of the new areas that they've decided to work on, and they're putting in the pipeline going forward. And so all these builders are recognizing that we are in, once again, a great location right along Highway 401 near the major urban centers. And we have a lot going for us in terms of affordability relative to those other areas. And so you put all this together, and in my opinion, there's no question that you will continue to see growth in this area. And so if you have any other questions after watching this video, I'd love to hear from you. Like I said, my information down below. I'd love to have a chat with you, have a phone call, maybe send me an email. And also, as I said, if you got any value out of this video, I'd really appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up. Till next time.